What I have in my bag for this weekend, and it's a lot of the same kind of equipment I'm asking you to bring. And I will also be bringing this stuff when we go on a long hike in Hardanger, and you're going to see why. First of all, on the outside of the bag is a really thick mattress. Now, you don't need to bring this, but I'm bringing this in case one of the teachers or in case one of you gets hurt, because one of the biggest problems when you go hiking is that when people can't move, they get cold. And then they sit on the ground, and the ground steals all of their heat away. And hypothermia, which is your body getting really cold, can be very dangerous. And we need to think about this and protect against it before we go hiking. So that's why this pad is here. And if I go hiking, most of the time I go hiking, even when I went hiking in the summer, I had that bag, that mattress there with me. So in my bag, I'm going to go through the things that I have. I have a med kit here. I have extra contact lenses. I have something for a big cut. I have some extra tape in there. I'm not going to open it all up. I have matches and things to help me start a fire there. I have a backup old Garmin GPS, and the only reason I have that thing, which is super cheap and super old, is if I turn it on, I can get the map coordinates that I've been teaching you about in class. The coordinates will come up, and I will be able, I'll be able to position myself on the map. So as long as I have a map like this, and I have that, if I turn that on, it'll tell me where I am in the coordinate system. So the same thing that I teach you in class. I keep some of this with me, just in case. As it's very cold right now, well, I'm getting to that. Oh, everyone's favorite part, some emergency food. Now, I know from experience, a couple of Snickers bars, and I've got some muesli bars, I've got some dried fruit, and I have some oatmeal in there. So if I end up at a cabin and I want to have a hot meal, if I'm out like on a rescue or something, and I want to have a hot meal, then I got the oatmeal in there too. That amount of food right there can keep me going all night long. That's with me all the time. Right there. I'm not saying it's the most nutritious, but it works. I have it looks like a sleeping bag. It's a super thick down coat. The kinds of down coats that I see middle schoolers wearing around when it's 29 degrees Celsius. And I'm like, why are the middle schoolers in that coat? I really don't understand. I have a thermos there to keep hot water in. It's never really happened, to be honest. But I have a saw. If I have to start a fire and I want to keep the fire going, this thing doesn't weigh very much. And it's nice to have. It's a saw to saw trees. Okay, I have a set of extra batteries, and I'll show you more what that's for. It's all packed up. Very important and something that you should think about for Hardanger. And this is here for two reasons. If I get really wet, then I have an entire extra set of wool in here. Not cotton, not polyester, but wool. Wool, wool, wool. And it's always wool, and that's because when you get wet, when the wool gets wet, it doesn't transport water. If you have a synthetic shirt on and you get wet, the synthetic shirt transports the water, so you're always getting cold. If you have wool on next to your skin, it holds the water in place, so your body heats up the water, and you therefore stay warm. Okay, so that's all extra wool right there. Now, to go together with this, I have a mini bivouac sack, but this is a special one. It's quite similar to what the Norwegian military uses, only the Norwegian military uses a slightly larger one. It's an insulated sort of sleeping bag, but there's not a lot of insulation. The best part about this thing is that it's weatherproof. It's waterproof, and it's insulated, so if somebody gets hurt, if they're wet, you put a change of dry wool onto them, You open this thing up. You put the person with the dry wool in there, and I'm not going to take this off my bag, and you put them on top of this here. So this goes on the ground, the pad. I might as well do it. We put the pad on the ground. We put the person with dry wool in the bag. Exact same technology as the military. Exact same weight and insulation level as the military. Put them in there, and now they hurt their ankle. They can't move. They're going to get cold. But now they can stay in that thing all night long. Not going to be comfortable, but if you're kind of freaking out and you're cold, that's going to save you. And that's what the people in the rescue groups call having a plan B. If you're going to go out when it's cold, you need to have a plan B. I have some extra water in here. Now, back here, I have an old flashlight. It works, maybe not the best. I have a sweater and something that you need to pay close attention to. Whoa. Wool mittens. A bunch of you I know have synthetic gloves. If the rain comes and you're outside with synthetic gloves, your hands will be cold. These are not expensive mittens. I have really nice handmade ones, and then I have an outer mitt there. So these work right there. So that's my basic kit, excuse me. And so now we go to the fun stuff for the Red Cross, just for fun. There was an extra hat in there, okay? There's a hat that I'll have on my head a lot of the time. Okay, this is a Gore-Tex jacket. It can quickly be a little bit too warm, so it's not necessarily always my jacket of choice. There's a Gore-Tex coat ready to go on me tonight. There's some thin Gore-Tex trousers ready to go on me tonight. I prefer to have something like this. Now, you can't go home and ask for all of this stuff, but your parents who are already grown, they might say, okay, what about having a zipper up the side? I like having a zipper up the side of these things because if I get too hot, I can just breathe right there, okay? So there's those. On your list is a pair of gaiters. In Norwegian, it's called gamasjer. That keeps the water, keeps your legs a little bit warm, and it keeps the water from running down your boots. I told you to have suggested. I think baseball caps are kind of nice because they can keep the rain off your face. Or if, like me, if I wear glasses, then I can keep the rain off my glasses with that. I have something to read to put my map in, always. Now we're going to get to some of the good stuff. This is going to hold a tablet. So I'll get to that. This is pretty much the same as a police radio. If I turn this thing on and start scanning channels, I can get in a lot of trouble. But that I can communicate with. I can communicate with the police. I can communicate with other emergency services. I can communicate with the pilots who are in a helicopter. There you go. If I'm out on a search, I have to wear this, so that way they can identify me as having been in a search. So they know that I'm part of the search team. So in here, just a couple things. Got some gloves. Over here, I've got a really good flashlight, not the one that I showed you. This is a really good searchlight. I have a thing to put in my ear to go into the radio. That's there. Up here, you saw a whistle. I have a compass here. There's my compass. And a whistle. That's for communicating with people and part of the search. Other things that I have to have with me, a Write in the Rain notebook. Oh, yeah. Look familiar? Write in the Rain notebook, because if I receive a set of coordinates on the radio, I'm not going to remember them. I have to write stuff down. So that will be with me for searches, not for hiking with you. I need extra batteries for when I'm out on a hike. This is a weatherproof tablet with a phone SIM card in it. So this thing can communicate all the time with people who are in the command center for any sort of search. So when I go walking with a team on a search, they see where I am all the time. And if there's information that comes to the search people that's important, then they can communicate that to me through this. So I get a map on there, but the map is alive. It kind of shows me where all the other people are if I want to see all the other people. And if somebody finds a sweater or something interesting when they're out on a search, then that information will pop up to me right away. So we can communicate with hundreds of people with this, and it's a map and it's a GPS. So that's that. And that is pretty much it. I've got a couple extra batteries, one here and one in there for that communication radio that I showed you. That's what I take hiking most of the time. The last one thing, of course, I have wool as a first layer all the time. You have any questions? Does that make sense? I can take care of you when we're out hiking, as long as you stay close, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Very good. I got to pack all this stuff up.